This is the third in Farm's digital marketing series. This summer, we've brought you sessions on setting up online shops and marketing processed food. And today we're going to learn about social media and how to reach your customers year-round, even in the off-season. I wanted to let you know that this series is hosted by Farms. Some of you are familiar with us, and some of you, this is your first time attending a session from Farms. We are a North Dakota nonprofit, and we serve sustainable agriculture producers across the state. Our goal is that there would be more sustainable agriculture and more locally grown food and agricultural products in our state. I wanted to let you know that we have some educational programs coming up. We have Farm Dreams on November 10th. This is a workshop for anyone who's ever dreamed of owning your own farm or local food business. And so that'll be November 10th from 2 to 5 p.m. More info at farms.org/dream. Farm Beginnings is our annual farm entrepreneurship course that is happening January through March, and more information is on our website. And we have a lunch and learn on November 19th about SARE Farmer Rancher grants. And you can always find more information at farms.org. We are Farms with 2 R's. Disregard the addresses in the blue boxes because PowerPoint auto-corrected to 1 R. We have 2 R's in our web address. So we are broadcasting through Zoom and Facebook Live today. And because we want you to know about all of the marketing education that we have to offer. And Dane Johnson has partnered with us to provide free help for farmers who want to improve their websites, their social media, their online shops. You can sign up for that help at bit.ly/farms on the screen. And there are recordings of the previous 2 webinars at farms.org/marketing2020, as well as more information and links to resources from other organizations across the nation. I'm going to stop sharing. So as I said, this is, we are on Zoom, so we have you can interact by raising your hand to ask a question. There's a Q&A box. There's also down at the bottom, if you click on the 3 dots, there is a chat feature. You can select chat to ask questions. And we have a Google Doc where you can ask questions, and we will be taking notes, and we will post that to our webpage at the end of the webinar. If you're asking questions on Facebook Live, I will be monitoring the comments section there and make sure that Erica hears your questions. So we have 2 speakers today. Erica Kale is a social media expert. She is the owner of Kale Social Co. in Fargo. And she's going to be telling us how to beef up our social media strategy. And later you'll hear from Clint Saunders, a photography expert as well. So I'm going to make Erica the host and let you introduce yourself, Erica, and you can tell us more.
Perfect. I think I'm the host now. Can everyone hear me? I'm on audio, right? Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right here. As she mentioned, I am Erica. I'm Erica Kale. I own Kale Social Co. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and I have my own website. I do social media consulting and management plans, and I'm hopping on here today to kind of give you guys some guidance for new social media channels or using social media during the winter and just helping you out. So feel free to ask any questions. I'm here to answer anything you have, and I have a couple of notes prepared for you today, so we'll just get started. At first, I'm going to go through a couple just basic beginner things, but this is really important to remember, even if you've had a social media account for a long time. These things are kind of the key pieces of social media and things you want to keep in mind. Okay, so starting, why is social media a great channel to use for your farm business or your small business? And one of the reasons is because it's a great place for customers to find you. If people are looking for you there, why not be there, right? Especially if you don't have a website yet, or if you don't have any other places they can contact you, social media is a great place to set up those connections. It also is a great way to create loyal fans. It can be a place for them to engage with you outside of buying from you. And every time you post something, you will appear on their social media channels, and that will remind them of you, remind them to buy from you, remind them to keep up from you, and you can be front of mind with your customers. And lastly, it's a great tool for informing your customers of things about you. Share who you are, what you sell, why you sell, give them more reasons to choose and support you out of all the competition. And also all the things you sell, and it's great to inform people of where you sell. Like I was mentioning, I know a lot of you do farmers markets or different events. If you're doing a lot of different events and you're kind of a lot of different places, a lot of times, social media is a great way to keep people informed if you're kind of hopping all over the place. Okay, growing. How do you even start a social media channel and grow on it? The very first thing I recommend to people, especially with small businesses, is to ask their friends, and don't be afraid to do that. Ask your friends to follow you, promote you, share about you. A lot of people want to support you and your small business, so you don't have to be shy about getting your first couple of followers that way. And then once you have friends follow you, that's a great way to show up in their friends' pages, like their recommended sections, etc. Same with following related accounts. When you start your social media channels, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, use that account to follow other farmers, follow other small businesses, and then you will also show up as a recommended account in those little recommended sections on those social media channels because you're following similar accounts to what you do. And then lastly, engage. Engagement is so important that I have a whole point on it right here. So what is it? What do people mean when they're talking about engaging on social media? They can mean a lot of different things, but one of the main things and the main things you want to do when you're on social media is you want to like, comment, and share as your page. Basically, you want to make sure that you are using social media to be social. That's kind of what the platform is there for, and that's what they encourage, and that's what they reward. So every time you're liking other posts and you're commenting on other things and you're sharing other things, the social media platforms are recognizing that, and people are seeing you show up more and more. Also, answer your comments. This is a really common one that people forget. They like to like comments, but answering every comment you get on your own posts or on your own pages, every DM you get is really important because that's what's going to start building the connection with the customers. And then lastly, another great engaging tip is to post interactive content. Ask questions, use the stories feature on Instagram and Facebook. There's a lot of like little toggles you can use to ask questions and polls and surveys and things like that. Post content like that that gets people to interact with you, that gets people to start a conversation with you and keep talking and, like I said, being social. So that's kind of usually what engagement means when people talk about social media and engaging. They're talking about kind of like having those conversations, liking, commenting, and sharing. And that's what's so important to use the platform for as a business as well. All right, next key feature is your brand on social media. Who are you on social media? It's important that your channel represents your mission and purpose, right? A lot of people get kind of lost when they create social media channels. They're not really sure why they're there or what they're there for. And it's really important to kind of remember that you want your social media channels to represent your brand and to be an authentic picture of what your brand is. So posting all the facets that make you and your business important or different are what you are going to want to put on social media. So who are the people behind the business? Think about what people think of your business and use that as content. And then as far as authenticity goes, a lot of people want to see faces and real things on social media. So don't be afraid to try a lot of different things out and post things in the moment, post the people behind your business, post customers, things like that are really great for engagement as well. Okay, so how do you keep your audience interested? This is a really tough topic because a lot of people start channels and they post stuff, but they don't know how to get people to actually interact or be interested in what they're posting. And my main recommendation for you is to think about, why do people even follow you? If you have a business, why is somebody going to click, oh, I want to follow this person? Are they following you to get to know you? Do they want to learn more about your products? Do they want to learn about the behind the scenes of your business? An example is I run a social media account, obviously, for my business, and I post a lot of social media tips, or I post different information about how to do well with your business on social media, because that's what makes sense. That's why somebody would follow my business. I don't post a lot of random things about me. I don't post about my hobbies or what I'm doing in a day, because that just won't really relate to my business, right? Or why people would follow me. So when you're thinking about what type of content you want to post, think about why people would follow you and your business. And then if you are posting stuff about your business that you feel like it's hitting what you really want to say, but people aren't interested, maybe that just means that you need to still grow your audience to find the right people interested, right? If you're posting all about what your product is and all about your growing seasons and things like that, but nobody's really interested, keep doing those interaction parts to grow your audience, and then eventually you'll find the right people that are interested in your content. Sometimes you don't always have to mold your content to fit the people. Sometimes your content, if you know it's true to your business and authentic to your business, is the right way to go with it. Sorry, there's somebody over there. Okay, so moving on, finding your social media strategy. This is really hard. Again, social media is kind of mystifying to a lot of people. They don't know where to start. They don't know even what to do. So I'm focusing on a lot of basics here for you so that you can kind of have a glimmer into what to begin with or what to look at when you're first beginning. So finding your social media strategy. I have a couple examples here. So here's an example of a role you could take on social media. You could focus all on just your product and sharing your produce. So I have example of pictures that would look like over here. This is showing different fields that you have and different vegetables that you sell, maybe sharing recipes that you use with your products, and then sharing like how or where you sell. Do you sell them in jars? You go to farmers markets? That's what this account could look like as an example of a social media strategy. You're just focusing all on showing your product. And then here's another example of focusing on the behind the scenes process. So this is showing the process of growing, who's involved and what's involved. We have pictures here that show fields, we have animals, we have the farmers, we have people doing things. So this is showing kind of like a glimpse behind the scenes at your farm. And this is also great content.
Erica, can I interrupt?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not seeing your slides advance. I'm still seeing the slide that says growing. So
let's see here.
There we go. Yes.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, Commando. So did we see this one?
Now we see it.
Now we see it, the produce one,
or
the product. Okay, perfect. Well, this will explain it a little bit more. The visuals are kind of important. So like I said, you can see here how this would look if you're showing your product. This is all pictures of produce and recipes and things you sell. And that's one way, like I said, that you could form your account. I'm going to go to the next one. Can you see this one now?
We're still looking at product, share your produce, recipes, how you sell.
Okay, maybe I'll just go to
there. Now it says behind the scenes.
Here we go. I'll go this way if this works for people, hopefully. Okay, so this is what I was talking about when I was talking about behind the scenes. This is showing the process, like I mentioned, showing who's involved. We have people in the pictures. We have farming equipment. We have kind of people in the action. And this is kind of a way you can form your account of behind the scenes at your farm. Okay, hopefully you see the next slide. Let me know if you don't. Okay, good. And then the last example I have here, if you're looking for content ideas or a content strategy, is sharing the about. So this is sharing your family, sharing the product, sharing who's behind the farm. So you could combine and show all of these things, of course, but if you're looking for something to stick to that you just want one idea and you want to run with it, this is kind of different options you can use. You can show the product behind the scenes, or just talking about your farm, your family farm, and what goes on in it. Okay, so selling and engaging in the winter. One of the reasons it's important to sell during the winter when you aren't necessarily selling something, but you want to sell on social media is because you want to promote things that are upcoming in the future. It takes a long time for people to see things and then actually get it in their brain or remember things. So even if the farmers markets just end soon, and then you're not going to start up again until July, you can still talk about them for the next like 6 months. You can still mention like, oh, TBT to doing the farmers market, we're going to do it again next year. You can still bring those things up, and then when it comes again next year, people are going to know that you're going to be there. It's also important because staying on top of year-round social media, I actually have in the next one, engaging time is valuable. So it's really hard, obviously, during your growing season or during your busy season to stay on top of social media. So it would be really beneficial for you guys to focus on it during the winter when maybe it's a little bit slower, because it does take a lot of time and effort to kind of get started. To do that engaging piece, commenting, liking, sharing, I know that takes a ton of time. So using this downtime that you have to work on that is what you can use the winter months for, to keep engaging and keep growing your accounts. Like I said, keep following and commenting and growing the community you have on your account. Okay, so content and what to post. I already talked about this a little bit, but I do think that people constantly go back to the struggle of not knowing what to post. So I have 4 key content pillars here that you guys can write down and use as pillars of what you can post about. So the main one is you. Who are you? A little bit about you and your relationship to the business, or who is the business? What are they? What do they sell? People are always looking for the what is this, right? And you can post that over and over and over again every month, because people are going to be new followers, or people maybe didn't see the first post. A lot of times your post will only be seen by a fraction of your followers. So reposting things or posting similar content over and over is not something to shy away from. Another key content pillar is talking about your mission and your values. What key values does your company have? What do you care about? What do you do? Why do you do what you do? Using that as a key content pillar will find people that relate to your mission and relate to your values and want to follow you because they appreciate what your mission and values are. And then another key content pillar is your product, of course. A lot of times people shy away from or kind of forget to even mention what they're actually selling. But of course, what you're actually selling is kind of the whole point. So making sure that you're informing your customers of all the things that you sell is really important to put out there on social media, because that's informing them and showing them what they can get from you. And then lastly, think about what people want to see from you. Questions people have asked in your comments are always great things to repurpose into comment. If somebody asks a question, that's probably something a lot of people are wondering, and you can turn that into its own content piece in and of itself by answering questions and showing things that people have asked. Okay, so another note about social media, and I'm kind of wrapping up here and I'm getting to some questions that were asked in the pre-question that we have, is remember that consistency and perseverance is so important on social media. They're really the key. Don't get afraid if you're starting and it's kind of a slow start. It really takes a long time to kind of find the right things to post, find what your audience is interested in, and kind of find what your business wants to put out there on social media. And it takes a while too to get used to and to know how to do this all. I obviously did not start with social media knowing exactly what I was doing, but I practiced and I was in charge of accounts, and I slowly learned and realized the important things to focus on, or the important things that different accounts followers were interested in. So consistency, just keep trying, keep putting stuff out there, and perseverance through maybe some quiet, silent moments is really, really important with social media. Okay, one of the questions we had in the pre-questions was on frequency, how often to post. My go-to recommendation is 2 to 3 times a week for a small business. The reason I do this is because it can get really overwhelming to focus on posting 5 to 7 days a week, which is what a lot of people want to do. You really want to post what's most convenient for you. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to fill your calendar up to only never be able to get to any of them, right? So I like to recommend 2 to 3 times a week, or even just starting with 1 time a week as you are learning and getting used to it. But 2 to 3 times a week is you're showing up enough on people's feeds that you're staying front of mind, and you're showing up on enough of your followers' feeds, because like I mentioned, only a fraction sees kind of the different posts you have. So if you post a couple times a week, you are getting different people in your audience. But yeah, so that's the answer to that question. And then questions on best marketing strategies was one of them. I'm not sure exactly what marketing strategies you were looking for, but if you're looking for growing your Instagram account, I have some 3 here. 3 marketing strategies I use to grow Instagram accounts is using that engagement piece that I talked about, the commenting, liking, sharing. Every time I post something on a business feed, I go through their personalized feed and I like and comment and share other things from other businesses. And then those people will see that I'm liking, engaging, and I'm an engaged follower, and they'll respond by doing the same to our accounts. I'm also using stories. Every time I post, I like to share each post to the story, especially because some people nowadays don't even really look at their feeds as much. They just click through stories. So it's a really great way to make sure you're getting in front of people. And then tagging location, tagging other businesses in your feeds, or using hashtags. Those are all great ways to grow your account and get in front of new eyes. And I think there was maybe one more here. Oh yeah, my approach to imagery. So next we're going to hear from Clint about imagery. He's not speaking until I believe 12:10 unless he's ready. So maybe we'll do some questions in between then. But my approach to imagery is to focus on simple, focal point, and natural light. So those three things kind of sum up my entire approach to imagery. And I have a couple examples here. So this is an account I run for a small business that sells food, obviously. And what I did here is I focused really on, like I said, focal point. You can kind of pick out where the focal point in each of these pictures is. And I kept the backgrounds very simple, nothing too complex, nothing too cluttered, very dark, very simple, so that the eye knows directly what to go to. If somebody's scrolling through their feed, they're going to see it right away. They're not going to be confused by the image. They're not going to be distracted by everything in the image. It's just very front and center. Same with this. These are a little bit busier of photos, but I also tried to keep them so that the subject was one thing. So in the left here, we have the subject being just the hand and the food and the gallery wall. If I had zoomed out, there would have been so many more things in the picture on this left one. There would have been chairs and brick, and it would have just gotten more cluttered. Same with these middle ones and right ones. If I had zoomed the picture out, there would have been so much more in the picture that would have been distracting from the main point of the picture. So whenever I do photography for social media, I try to remember what's going to grab the most attention when people are scrolling through their feeds, and how do I make this image translate like instantly instead of being too cluttered, because people spend so little time on things now on social media. They're scrolling. So making sure that it pops right away, is easy to digest, is really important. And then, yeah, this is where you can find me. I don't know, I think we had a couple other questions that I could answer though. Stephanie, did we have a few that I could maybe go over?
Yeah, I'm going to give you some of the other questions that were shared in the registration box.
Yeah.
Someone asked, I'd love to learn tools similar to scheduled posts, but can help save time if there are any others. So scheduling tools.
Definitely. So scheduling tools, I'm not the most familiar with them. I actually don't use scheduling tools. I know that there is one called, I believe, Sprout Social. I think CoSchedule. The problem with scheduling tools, there's kind of two problems and why I don't use them. They're not bad or anything, but my two problems with them are a lot of them kind of go in and out of being able to actually post to platforms. Sometimes they're like, keys get rejected so that they can't post to platforms, and it's just a struggle. But I know that that's not a big issue, but that's just one thing I've heard. And then another reason I don't use scheduling tools is because posts usually perform better when you engage on the platform after posting, as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. So because I run accounts for a business and I want to grow those accounts, I usually spend time after posting, at least 5 minutes or even less sometimes, just engaging and making sure that I post, and then I go through the feed and I like and comment and share and kind of do a little bit of that engagement piece. So I don't use a lot of scheduling tools. So I'm not the most helpful there, but I do know that CoSchedule is a local Fargo business. And I think that they offer that service. So I would definitely look into them because they offer a lot of great social media services as well.
We had two questions about scheduled posts, and so I'm going to jump in here because I'm using Hootsuite for farm social media, and it allows me to create a post and schedule it, and it will post to both Facebook and Instagram at the same time. So I've really been liking that, and we found a link to get a free Hootsuite account. We've also used Buffer, which is free, and that one didn't work as well as Hootsuite. I was having troubles getting it to post to Instagram. But the reason that I like the scheduling tools is because one, being able to post to both at the same time, and two, it allows me to post to Instagram from my desktop instead of having to use my phone. So that's what I can say about scheduling tools.
Yeah, I just remembered another one. There's one called Planoly as well, which is like a calendar system where you can post in, and it does post to Instagram and Facebook, I believe. So usually when I post to Instagram and then hit the share to Facebook button in Instagram, and then I just do my engagement in Instagram, and then I go to Facebook and also do engagement there afterwards. But yeah, there definitely is huge benefits with using scheduling tools as far as saving time and figuring everything out beforehand. I just don't use them that often, but yeah.
And I am putting the scheduling tools that we've discussed and links in the Google Doc so that people can see it later. So another question was, what are the best times to post on Facebook to get the most eyes on the information?
Yeah, so this actually really depends on your audience because people have different audience segments. If you have a younger audience, maybe they're online at a different time than an older audience. So your analytics in Facebook will kind of tell you those times. But what I like to do when I have accounts is I like to trial out different posting times and kind of see how they work. So I like to spend a month posting at a lot of different times and kind of seeing what feels like it gets the best engagement. If I were to just give you a recommendation without knowing your audience, I would recommend usually between 12 and 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Usually I like to post either at 11 to 12 because you're kind of hitting the lunchtime people that sit on their phones during lunch, or I like to post around 1 to 3 because you're hitting people after work that go on to social media channels in the afternoon or after work. So I kind of think about that, think about what your audience is doing at different times of the day, and also just try things because you're not going to know unless you try. And then check the analytics on Facebook because it will kind of give you a graph, and sometimes the graphs kind of just like every day looks the same, but it might tell you if posting in the morning or posting in the afternoon is a little bit better.
So the next question is partially, I think, for Clint, although you addressed this, how to take amazing photos and how to link all your accounts so they post at the same time and automatically.
So for linking accounts, if you want to link your Instagram to your Facebook, you do that through Facebook. Just so you know, I don't know if you've seen that before, there is an Instagram link in the back end of Facebook that will let you link your Instagram to Facebook. Sometimes too, if you go into Instagram and you're trying to post, you'll turn on Facebook and it'll have you link through there, but then usually it makes you authenticate it through Facebook. So if you've never seen that before, that's a way to do it there.
And are some of these features different if you're set up as a business versus a personal page?
Yes, so most of these features are for business pages. So if you're a business page, you'll have the analytics, you'll have the Instagram linking. You can link a personal page to an Instagram as well. I just don't think the Instagram can be a business page and you're a personal page, if that makes sense. Personal pages though, as in like, just like friending and not having followers, they don't really have analytics or any features like that. Same with Instagram. If you have a personal page, you won't have any analytics, but if you switch to a business account, you'll have analytics to look at.
So that would be something to consider when you're setting up social media for the first time for your farm, is to make sure that you're setting up business pages and not personal pages.
Yeah, the analytics on Instagram, if you're looking more into Instagram, can be very helpful because it shows you analytics for each post. It shows you who's seen it, the reach, engagement, if people have bookmarked it or sent it to somebody. And that's all just good information because when you see a content that has all of those things, you know that content has performed really well and you can post more content like that.
You addressed the other two questions, which were frequency and best marketing strategies, but maybe our attendees have some questions that they want to put in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. There's a Q&A feature.
Yeah, feel free to ask anything in the chat box, or I don't know if Facebook Live was working, but if there's any questions there. I will talk about images a little bit more since I didn't really say that much on it, but I do use my phone for a lot of photography. I post to Instagram as my main one, and then I share to Facebook, and I post to Instagram on my phone, because I feel like user experience wise, it's giving me the truest like vision of what the user experience would be. So that's what I prefer to do. But yeah, I just use my phone for a lot of photography, and I have a Note 9, which is this huge phone that has a really great camera. And then I use Lightroom, which is an Adobe product, downloaded onto my phone for editing. So I use Lightroom for editing, and you can use the unpaid version. I have the paid version, but honestly, I used to use it unpaid all the time. And it can just let you do those simple things like brightening a picture or cropping a picture or adding darkness and shadow into pictures. So definitely look into some editing apps and play around with those as well. There's some really simple tutorials you can find on YouTube by just Googling simple Lightroom editing app if you kind of want to give your photos an extra like pop, or you want to like upgrade the photo quality. My biggest tip for editing and all my photos really is I always just adjust exposure up for social media, because I feel like brighter photos are easy to digest, and I feel like people interact with them better. So those are my editing tips for photography on social media.